Daniel, thank you for joining us. I know Daniel, we became Wim Hof instructors at the same time around 2 years ago, and I was just amazed of how many things Daniel has already done and how much knowledge he brings into the table. Maybe you can tell us a bit of your background and your story
Mhm.
and how you came to be a
The
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof, yeah. Okay, yeah. Welcome. Thank you very much for the invitation for this beautiful online retreat. And then for me, it's so long ago, 50 years ago, I started with the martial arts. This is the one point of my development, martial arts, meditation techniques, Qigong and all the things, Tai Chi and all what is combined with the Asian martial arts. Before I was an architect, or maybe I'm an architect, and I have many held managing positions and great responsibilities on the work. I have a company in China. I had a company in Germany, and I traveled around, China, Germany, 24/7, and then I get 2 burnouts. And in this time to had the burnouts, I searched for some solution to manage my work-life balance. And on the one hand, I try the Kung Fu and the meditation technique. It's really hard. I train 10 hours per day, seven days long. I stopped to be an architect and I go to China to learn all this meditation technique, to learn all this Kung Fu technique, all this Tai Chi technique. That was the one step to get a work-life balance, but it
So that
doesn't
was the first
function.
time. So you were looking for a solution for your burnout, and you went to China to train 7 days a week as a
In
solution
the same,
with the
it
same
was the
pattern that
same.
got you into a burnout.
And then the next burnout comes. It was a body burnout. I don't know exactly if you know what it means to have a body burnout. Your body, that is, you can't move, and that is really strong feeling of no power. I have no power. And in this time, I learned the Wim Hof Method. And this time I start to learning the Wim Hof Method. And the first one, I take part on the 10-week course, the classic course. The Wim was on go man, go, breathe. There were no rules, there were nothing. There were only to breathe, only to go in the cold. And I did it 10 weeks. And after 10 weeks, I went to a lake, and then I go in the lake. It was not so cold, maybe 1 degree or 2 degrees. And I sit in the lake not so long, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. But if I came out and I sit in the nature a little bit to breathe, to have a fire breathing, to calm down, to go in the meditation state, and then I opened my eyes and I saw all this beautiful nature, and I saw the frequency of the nature, all the movements of the wind and the sun and the lake and the birds and the animals. And then in this moment, I felt really connected to all the things happen outside, but it was in the deepest winter time. And it was for me the first time so long ago that I feel connected with the winter, with the cold, with the nature, and I feel the pure energy of this. And this was for me the moment that I realized my burnouts are away. And that was the point of starting to go deep in really, really strong cold exposure and Wim Hof method and all the methods around Wim Hof, Tumo techniques and all this. And this was this I think is my the history of.
I mean, I know a lot of people, and actually it happens a lot that you come from a point looking for answers because the way you're living your life is not working anymore, and you're just desperate, and doctors are not really helping you anymore, or they're just telling you to do stuff that makes no sense. And then the answer is going back to nature. I had it myself. I also had anxiety, panic attacks. I was also struggling with all this, and when people ask me how did you get out of it was breathing practice and going back to nature. That's the solution, right? That's also, I think, the underlying topic of this whole retreat is go back to what's natural, right?
Yes, and that is the same in the movement and all the, you do some things, you do the things that there comes from the nature, and you do the things in the natural way. That is not an artificial pattern or whatever. And I think it's not, I go in the gym and I have to do maybe 100 kilo whatever. I go in the forest and I do it with a tree or whatever. I try to climbing around, or maybe. And the Wim Hof method is a little bit the same. The breathing and the cold exposure is a little bit the same. The Wim Hof, if you know Wim Hof, there's a really crazy guy, but if you know him, he has learned all this crazy stuff direct in the nature in front of the death. You know it. If you see if you talk to him, you know it. And that's why this method comes direct from the nature. Maybe sometimes a little bit crazy, sometimes a little bit chaotic, but there's a so deep how can I say Wirkung, effective on the body, and it was for me. I have felt it directly after 10 weeks, and then before I was in the mountain to learn meditation, and I sit in the cave, for example. It's a picture, but I sit in the cave month, and I meditate and meditate and meditate all the time, and I have the feeling, oh yeah, I'm on the center, and then I go back in the daily life and it's broken down. But in the Wim Hof method, if I go in the cold water, for example, for 1 minute, I go direct in my center of gravity, and I sit there and I feel the center of gravity. I feel the center in me. That is, in a Chinese, is called the dantian, yeah, the center of your consciousness, the center of your intuition, the center of your acting, yeah, where the gravity comes in, yeah. And then if I go in the ice water, or maybe in the cold water, it needs 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, and then I go back. The thinking goes back, and everything, all the energy goes down in the center, and I sit there, and I came in a really deep meditative state inside, and outside is so stressful with the cold, and that is crazy. That is a crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, we're talking about a lot that, for example, we're missing out on some natural external factors that we had before when we were hunter-gatherers, and that we were really had a different environment and had to have a different attitude towards the environment. And the Wim Hof method with the cold exposure really brings back in one of these elements, and a very strong one: cold water. The cold is fair but merciless as well. It doesn't matter who you are. If you go into the cold water, you're gonna feel it, right? And this is exactly the point. So we're trying to bring back nature in our lives, and this connection to nature is the thing that makes us stronger. So we don't need to look anywhere else. It's just our symbiosis, our relationship with nature, and in this case, the cold, that makes us so strong. And in the case of the cold, or maybe you can go a bit more into detail, what is the cold doing to our bodies?
Yeah, the first one is, if you go in the cold, the first one it's a stressor. You have that is one of the strongest stress you can do on your body. But if you go in, the first one is your reptile brain part get in panic, and maybe this part thinks, oh, what has happened now? Go out. And then for this first thinking, I go out, the adrenaline, the first hormones comes in. This is adrenaline. This is really important that the adrenaline comes in. And now, if I stay longer in the cold, the adrenaline is the first reaction. So if I follow the reaction of my reptile brain, then I escape. But if I stay calm and I try to breathe and to relax and try to overcome this first reaction, then the body changed the hormones. This is necessary. Why? The hormones serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin, these are hormones. They regulate the temperature in the body. They regulate that the temperature stays stable in the inside of my core. Yeah. And that's why after 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute, the body changes the system to survive. Yeah. The adrenaline goes away, and the serotonin, the dopamine, and the melatonin comes in. That is the first reaction of the hormones. The other one, the blood, the cold, force me and force my cardiovascular system, my blood system, to contract the veins, to push the blood back to the center, to save the core, to save the organs. That is a training, a muscle training for the veins, the muscles around my vascular system, 100,000 kilometers of veins and arteries and all the capillaries and whatever. They contract and they close, and the blood comes back to the center. And in the center, the blood is here. The kidney starts to wash the blood, yeah, and to bring new nutritions in and all the things. The organs have much more blood as normal, more oxygen, more hormones and more nutritions come in the organs, and that is the first reaction, the first thing what happens in the body if you go in the cold.
That's amazing. I mean, you have, for example, again, like we're doing now with movement and breathing, so you're mixing up stuff, right, to increase the efficiency of your training. And here with nature, you don't need to add anything. Just the cold is training your cardiovascular system, like it is like a marathon for your body, right? Balancing out all the hormones that you have in your body, because if you were overproducing something or underproducing something, once you have the shock, you're gonna get that injection of things, and then you're gonna force your body to find a new balance, right? And you're irrigating all these organs, and you're doing this in 2 minutes, 4 minutes.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And in the nerve system is also really, really crazy. In the nerve system, there's many electricity. If you go in the warm means no electricity in the nerve system. If you go in the cold, that means there's high electricity in the nerve system. Why? If you contract something, the nerve system has to put all the information to the muscles to contract, maybe the muscles of the veins. But if you go in the cold, and the cold is so strong that the parts of your brain shut off, and some deepest parts of your brain you usually not use normally in the day, they starts to control some nerve systems in the body now that is what I want to say, to balance the feeling of pain. That is a pain killing feeling, that you bring some carbonates, what is the thing of carbonoids, I think in English. Carbonoids. You bring some drugs inside, you bring some informations inside to restart the nerve system in the brain, to get a coherence in the brain. At first you shut off something, you start some parts, and then if you come out of the cold water, the brain starts completely new, and you have a coherence between the left and the right hemisphere if you go in the cold water or after the cold water. And that's why you have the feeling of your brain is clear and all the thinking is away. Why? Your brain shuts off and starts again. That is really nice.
And here we make also a loop to meditation, right? And the way the brain is working, and the way, so one thing that we always often say is that we are no longer in the present moment, right? So we're always either thinking about the future, what we're gonna do, our plans, our weekends, and we are on our past, thinking about judging our past, what's all been happening before, and we don't have that anymore, right? But putting ice water into our lives, you suddenly have a situation where you are forced to be in the moment because you are surviving. You're not thinking about what's happening in the future, you're just there. And this is also accompanied by this mental effect of being able to relax for a second and let go of all these things that are in your mind all the time and just be in the moment. In fact, if you're not allowed to do, if you don't allow your body to do this, it's going to be very hard for you to handle the cold water.
Yes, exactly. This is for me. It's also the same experience. I know the feeling of meditation if I sit in the cave, and I know the feeling to be in the center of yourself. I trained it many years. And it's called it's called interoception. This is the eighth sense. That is the last sense you have. You go in the interoception. You look inside. And if you the possibility that you can look inside is that you have to stay in the here and now. Yeah, that is a really, really complicated thing in the meditation. Many, many years. It needs many, many years that you have the ability of the feeling. Oh, what is this? If I go inside, what is the feeling? But if I go in the ice, I have to go inside, and the natural reaction in the body is the body goes in the eighth sense, in the interoception. To why you have to control all this inner systems. Is everything is okay? Okay, the cold is outside. Okay, that is a natural thing. The body has to go inside to control the systems, to be aware of the inside, not of the outside. And this is your whole body comes back to your center. The brain comes back, and that is a deep state of meditation in the here and now. And that is nice. I call it active meditation.
Yeah, you can also do it with movement in a way, but this is really, I mean, when you do it with the cold, it's a very strong effect. And the Wim Hof method is not only about cold exposure, we actually prepare for the cold with breathing, like the way we were doing before. We we change the chemistry. There's so many things that also happen during the breathing. I mean, in a way, the breathing and the cold have similar paths that they follow. The breathing may be on a smaller scale than the cold water, but that's also one very important point here. So you're also putting in breathing practice into action, right?
Yeah, right. The breathing practice, the the Wim Hof method, the 3 pillars of the Wim Hof method, and one of the big pillars is the breathing. And that is not a breathing technique in this, it's not a system of breathing. If you breathe in the Wim Hof method all the day, it is not so good. It is dangerous that you breathe all the time with the Wim Hof method, to hold too long the breathing and all the time. But the breathing is really effective. Why? The breathing is a stress breathing. You bring so many stressors in the body. Why? In the first phase, you have many oxygen in the body, but not oxygen. You produce ATP but the CO2 level goes down and down and down. You go in this finger and you tighten up, and all this vasodilation and vasoconstriction, all the vasoconstriction starts. Yeah, your veins closed and closed. Yeah, and then the second part, that is stress. That is the principle of the homeostasis in the Wim Hof method. You bring some gift in, homeostasis, and the reaction of the body is the homeostasis. And the breathing all the time. In the beginning, you change the pH level. You change the contraction of the veins if you exhale so much CO2. Yeah, it's an opposite of the oxygen advantage. You exhale the CO2. I think, but it's the flip side of the coin. Yeah, and then the next, if you breathe out so much CO2, the time to get the urge to breathe is so much longer, and that is a possibility that the body goes down and down in the oxygen deficit zone. And that is really nice. That is called the hypoxia. And the hypoxia in the medicine is so effective. The Germans are really, there's so many hypoxic medicine. We don't know it exactly, but they use the hypoxic machines to breathe the own air in again and again, that they lower the O2 in the body to not to heal, but to how can I say, to control autoimmune system, autoimmune diseases, for example. So in the Wim Hof method is the second part. You go so deep with the oxygen. I have a measurized, for me, I go in the 35% of oxygen in the blood. It is really deep.
I go to 45 or something like that.
Yeah, but it is really nice. In this moment, the body changed some really strange systems. Yeah, the mitochondria activity explode 25 to 30% in a split second of this state of low oxygen. This mitochondria, the energy producer in the body, rises up. Yeah, the energy rise up in the body. Why? The body think, oh, maybe this is the last piece of life. I have to survive. And then if I inhale, this breath after the retention time, and then I hold again, the CO2 rise up and rise up and rise up. There's no exhale, and that is the next stressor. There's so many CO2 in the body, and this parts of the breathing, that is really, really nice to combine this stressors. Many stressors comes inside in 15 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 stressors. The body has to change all the time, the systems all the time, and that makes us flexible. That is the background. Stress resilience or stress resistance, it makes us flexible. Why? If you have some stress in the day, maybe my breathing goes out, I have no control over my breath, but my body is trained it's trained that you can change from side to side, and the breathing is brings so many energy in the body, so many training in the body, and in the end that prepares us to go in the ice. Why? I have a little bit more, the pH level is changed a little bit, the adrenaline is a little bit changed, the hormones are in, and then that combines with the ice. That is really nice.
Yeah, so we're already around 4 o'clock, so if you are allowed, we're gonna go a bit longer, 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna give you space for some questions. I just wanted to close up now with this idea that you were speaking about the flexibility, right? So what I've observed is that if we were living in a natural world, a lot of equilibrium points in our body, like for example, the amount of CO2 that you carry all the time in your body, or the posture, or the pH in your blood, all those levels would be at an optimum. And actually, your body would be able to handle a lot of stuff. But since we live in this urban jungle kind of environment, and we do it all the time, the body has had to sort of adjust and come up with new equilibriums that are perhaps not the best ones for our health, so to say. And what I see very interesting with the Wim Hof method, as you said before, is not something that you want to be doing 24 hours a day, but it's a tool that you can have to come in and just break it. Just whatever was happening, you go in and you just go like that, and you shake everything up, and everything goes up and down. And after that, you are forcing the body to go back to an equilibrium. And when he goes back to the equilibrium, or when the body goes back to the equilibrium, he's not going to the old equilibrium. He's going to the equilibrium that he has in its own cells, in its own information. That's the right equilibrium, right? So this is also a very important aspect of this.
Yeah, this is that is really and if since I start the Wim Hof method, I understand my body more and more and more. I understand there is so many information is inside, and the information is so old. And in the Wim Hof method is what you say, the DNA. There's a artist. He has produced a clock, and on the clock is there's this 24 hours, and then we get the fire on the hour 17. Before we're living without any artificial things, no fire, nothing. And this artificial environment now we live here is in the hour 23 and 59 minutes. We live 1 minute in an environment like this. And if you go in the Wim Hof method, for example, if you go in the extreme situation, maybe the Wim Hof method is an extreme situation, but it's intermittent. I control it, but it's extreme. I control the extreme. But the body remember the systems or the solutions much longer ago, and he used systems they are tested in the maybe 1,000 years ago.
Evolution approved.
Yes, and that is nice. And then we react the systems, and now we bring the artificial, the moment, this society and all the things what we do now together with the old ancient knowledge of our body. And I think that is a new one. The Wim Hof method comes in not to delete this situation, not to delete this time. I love this what we have. I love the evolution. Yeah, but now we bring both informations together. Yeah, I think that is for me the Wim Hof method. Yeah, to
That's a
bring it
very
in
nice
this.
conclusion because that's also what we do with movement. Movement is
Yeah,
exactly the same. So we are just getting this ancestral information, the way we've been living for 23 hours and 59 minutes in this depiction of the human evolution
yeah,
since we started. And we're bringing that into a modern era where we also need it. Because if we didn't need it, I mean, we wouldn't be talking about it. But today, I mean, depression, anxiety, diabetes. I mean, there's so
yeah.
many things that are going wrong today. And I think these ancestral practices really just put into focus things that are really working and are not just there to make you, I don't know, spend more money or buy this only thing or whatever. It's just like, you just have to remember what's inside of you. The information is inside you.
Yes, and the Wim Hof method or many or movement except bring you the information back, and the
Yeah.
information it's emotion, yeah, it's you feel it, you can feel it, yeah. If I go in the ice, it sucks every day. It's really hard. But if I come out, I think, wow, yes, I feel so strong, and then I can go into my family, I can go to my work, I put on the computer and all the things, and I have my full capacity, my full energy, I have my mood, I feel gratitude, I feel love, I feel all the things what the nature gives me, and that is nice. And the movement is the same. If I do the movements, for example, in the weekend in the Spitzmühle, after 3 days, I feel so connected with
Yeah.
all my parts. Yeah, and I think that is the Wim Hof method too in this. Yes,
Yeah.
and one thing, every part of the breathing, for example, maybe no one knows, but I or maybe you knows, I know every part of the breathing technique in the Wim Hof method is known in the pranayama, in the yoga technique. There's nothing new, but the combination is new. Yeah,
Yeah.
the combination of all these techniques is complete new, and that is nice. This is yeah, old wisdom and all knowledge comes together now, and maybe this is the solution for our world today. I
Yeah,
think.
I think this could solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So well, I would like to open now the whole thing for a couple of questions. If you need to go because you have lack of time talking to the participants, then don't
Sure.
worry. Just we are gonna start the program back at 18 hours, so 6 o'clock. We're gonna go with the full moon ceremony and then with the live music. But right now, if you still have a bit of energy and you still have a bit of time, we can keep talking. I know, Daniel, you have 10 more minutes maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
10, 15 minutes, no problem. Yeah, okay.
10,
It's okay.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, just go ahead. Go, Chisco.
Would be, have you also tried this kind of heat exposure techniques as well during this whole journey that you've had?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I tried that is called, I don't know the name in English, Schwitzhütte. You know, this is the Indian, and you have a tent and you put some stones in, and
In English, sorry, in English, I think it's
Sweat lodges.
sweat lodge.
sweat lodges, for example. I tried too. Yeah, and I tried some sauna breathing techniques, sauna retreat techniques. But the cold is for me. That's why the best choices. Why I can use it every day. That's for me really difficult to produce heat. So much heat I need. Cold is, I go outside in the winter, I have the cold, you know. And but now I combine some kinds of workshops and some kinds of teachings. What I give is I combine the cold, the ice with the fire, with the sauna, and then that is called the ice. We go in the ice for maybe 3 minutes, and then we go 15 minutes in the sauna to do some breathing techniques. I use maybe the Wim Hof method breathing techniques in the sauna. I use some special breathing techniques in the sauna, and I love both. I love not only one side. I find the cold is the strongest energy I can get, and the cold is really it's not so heavy to produce it, to have it. You have a cold shower, maybe whatever. And for me, it's direct, and it's so fast to go in the energy. If I sit in a sauna, I can sit 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I have not this strong feeling. If I go in the ice for 3 minutes, the feeling is much stronger. That's why I prefer the cold, but I love the heat, and I love the breathing in the sauna retreat breathing is so good. And if you combine it, many clients of me, They talk to me, that is so good. If I do the sauna and the ice, wow, I sleep very well. I have a feeling of the body very well. Both sides of the thermogenesis are reloaded and active. And yeah, I think you can combine it good. Yeah.
So maybe worth putting there that the mechanisms that the body uses to handle heat are the same mechanisms, but with the opposite effect. So instead of closing down all the blood vessels and concentrating the blood in the middle, what the body does is sends all the blood to the superficial, so as close as it can to the skin for heat exchange processes. But at the end, we're talking about really two sides of the same coin, this duality that we find in life, right? In yin and yang, and cold and heat, and light and dark. It's exactly the same topic. And if you get good at one, you usually get good at the other one somehow, right? So I've also increased my capacity to stay in the sauna by increasing the capacity to stay in the ice. I would say then, if you don't have any more questions, thank you very much, Daniel, for your time. It was a very informative talk.
Okay.
We gave you a bit more insights into the Wim Hof method. We're talking about breathing in general. Wim Hof method techniques, breathing techniques are one part of this spectrum, and there's so many things. As Daniel was saying, breathing is as ancient as we are, and the information has been recompiled and then lost, and then again come back and lost and come back, and now it's surging again because it's just a very important topic, right? But as you know, the topic here is about the three different things: breathing, movement, meditation. Cold exposure are also counted there because we're going back to the roots. We're going for efficient ancestral methods that are not complicated, that you don't have to pay money. You just have to go outside, play in the woods, lift some stones, sit down in quiet contemplation, and you will get all the same things, right? We're just giving you some tools to implement it in our busy lives, that we can combine this ancestral wisdom with our modern lives, and in this way living more in balance and in health.